In 1996, Blizzard released Diablo, and after it happened, the game industry could never be the same. Several years later, most of one-character isometric games were compared with mighty D1 by the game critics. In 1999, those critics defined one more game as a Diablo clone, and a really bad one. It had no leveling system, only one side quest. The loot was very rare, dialogues were few and one way, so the main character stayed silent and couldn't choose what to say. The game was named Clans, in Germany say Tätica, and as a D1 clone, it was horrible. The matter of fact is that Clans was almost nothing like Diablo. It is an adventure RPG / dungeon crawler that has a lot in common with modern Legend of Grimrock 1. It has also something in common with Dark Souls in terms of atmosphere and game and player relationships. And most importantly, the clans contained a very special magic, giving a player a deep and pretty much unique silent hero versus unknown frightening realm feel. Let's see what kind of magic it is and what is it made of. Mostly, the game tries to impact the player in 3 ways: to make the player feel alone, focused, and fragile. In Clans, unlike Diablo, there is no hometown with infinite health potions, not even a possibility to pause the game. Hello, Dark Souls. The hero is always on the run. You can meet several merchants out there in the dark, but each of them has only 4 items that don't replenish when bought. Monsters almost never leave any loot, so the money to buy something must be found across the levels. Add to this the absence of leveling system, and it becomes clear you're on your own. No one's out there to save you. To build your strength, you must hunt for the goods scattered across the levels, split into many square scenes. Despite the clumsiness of all these red arrows, that visual approach gives one big advantage. With no need to place many rooms on the screen simultaneously, clans can afford really tall walls and backgrounds. That drastically increases the player's immersion into dark realms of the game and refers to rife backgrounds of classic slasher games like Chronicles of Mystera. 2 huge UI skulls and massive interface serve the same purpose. Clans is really about watching closely. Your successfulness in the game depends on your ability to find hidden goods, search for the keys to all locks, and effectively interact with environment and characters on the level. You can increase your stats only by drinking special potions and wearing rings. Very classical fantasy. Pixel hunting is strongly encouraged. There are even different icons for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, etc. golden coins to please the eye. Unlike D1, you can pick an item from the inventory and interact with items and characters on the screen. Also, you can impact surroundings with weapons and spells. No dialogue options and pop-up UIs, and that increases the immersion even more. You have all the power to manipulate these dark realms, but you also will get no explanation or response if something goes wrong. You're on your own. Clans is really good at making you feel that you're missing something. Although enemies almost never drop items, sometimes a foe, even played and weak, might drop a key needed in your quest. It's easy to get confused by different items with no purpose, empty barrels in the center of the screen that can be moved but do nothing, and other weird stuff. It's like the game wants you to enter its non-existent obscure half, like the mirrored castle in Castlevania Symphony of the Night. While making this video, I've walked through the game very carefully, but wasn't able to open that damn door. And I've missed +3 armor and +3 axe, probably behind that door, and I think one of the few rings. And mind you, that since 1999 I've finished Clans at least 20 times. With all above, game makes a player feel alone and stay focused. You can meet about a dozen characters you can talk to, but since they're mostly pretty weird, some of them reside in really odd places, and all the conversations are in fact their monologues, the feeling of loneliness only gets stronger by meeting them.
Hello, adventurer. You look exhausted. Let me ease your pain.
And yes, the music. Those rhythm-based barbaric tracks, sometimes with a hidden beauty in them. They sound really different from melodic heavy or ambient music we used to hear in games. Clans music has a big impact on the atmosphere in an interesting way. It uses some wood percussion in the woods. And an udu drum in a hot lava-filled dungeon. Udu drums are made of clay or glass, and to harden them, you need fire, right? In melee combat, there's no way you can avoid enemy hits, which makes Clans' battle system one of the most primitive and isometric games. There's no way to parry and no opportunity for planning in battles, stocking up the potions and strategic purchase of the equipment. Player is fully dependent on game's mercy, but at the same time, this makes a player feel very fragile against the creepy surrounding, and that serves really well for the game's overall atmosphere. Since there are no enemies that move faster than the player and mana replenishes over time, you can avoid melee combats and damage at all by rushing through cleared locations and casting spells, but that tactic is horribly boring and takes idiotically big amounts of time, so player is almost forced to risk. Sometimes when you're out of health, those cat and mouse games becomes a must, but only until you run onto so much desired health bottle. Then the gameplay freshens up, along with your character, but that's absolutely up to the game's mercy. The enemies themselves deserve some attention too. Most of them are human-like, but because of low resolution and pretty weird voicing, most of the time you don't know exactly what are you dealing with. Nowadays, real-time isometric battle systems involving taking big amounts of unavoidable damage are based on endless potion drinking, intensive healing spells, or on regular dying and rebirth. Most of other options are considered as outdated, which is a shame, because I would really like to see the games working on which devs decided to brush the dust away from the battle systems like the one in Clans that make player feel fragile and dependent on the game world and adapt it to the modern game market. Summing up, I can surely tell that Clans has severe issues, like primitive battle system, plenty of empty locations that could be effectively filled with new items, monsters and puzzles, which are missing, clumsy animations and so on. But at the same time, it's a good example of a game with strong atmosphere that can give you emotions nowhere else to be experienced. I would say that the magic spell of the game is a lone silent hero infiltrating obscure ravenous realm filled with presents. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe for more game magic, press the like and bell buttons, and leave a comment below. See you in the next video!